Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
The young man you see now getting his mouth covered with tape is named Liangliang. Next to him is his wife, Lijun. This young couple has recently become popular on the Chinese internet.
Didn't you want to say something? Why aren't you saying anything anymore?
2 years ago, they bought a commercial apartment in Zhengzhou, Henan. But soon after, the construction of this building was abandoned. Buying a house is supposed to be a hope for the future, but it turned out to be a torment they hadn't anticipated. After a minor incident, they ended up in a conflict with the real estate development company, Sunac. Sunac is one of China's leading real estate developers. In 2023, Sunac China achieved a contract sales amount of $100 billion in the Chinese real estate market. They have been fighting for their legal rights for these 2 years, but the process has been extremely difficult and no one has acknowledged them. Not long ago, while trying to protect their legal rights, they were even beaten by Sunac's staff. The story of this young couple has recently garnered a lot of attention on the Chinese internet. Many people deeply sympathize with them. Think about it. They come from a small place, their academic performance was not particularly outstanding, and they have a very ordinary family background. Yet they worked incredibly hard and diligently, saving all their income to buy their own house. But unexpectedly, the project was abandoned. After it was abandoned, they still had to pay the mortgage. During the fight for their rights, they were assaulted. Countless people see their own reflection in this couple's story, a microcosm of this era. So recently, many people have been sending me messages saying, "Wang, you have to talk about Lijun and Liangliang's story." At first, I hesitated because their story has not been censored on the Chinese internet. I prefer the topics of state of play to be those very important events that happen in China but are not allowed to be propagated. Those are what interest me the most. But in the past few days, I carefully watched all the videos on their account. As a small internet celebrity couple who regularly posts on Douyin, they record every little detail of their lives. After watching, I found their story quite moving. So today, I will talk about this couple's story.
In 2013, we met in the college library. After that, we started dating. Soon, our college days were behind us. We graduated in 2015. After that, we both chose to transition from a community college to university. She got into Nanyang Normal University, and I got into Luoyang Institute of Science and Technology. Right. And then we started a long-distance relationship.
Liangliang and Lijun are from Lingbao, Henan, a place known for its apples. I lived in Henan for a while, so I have a strong impression of Lingbao's apples. They met in 2013 at a community college. Not long after they got to know each other, they started dating. After graduating, they both got admitted to undergraduate programs and graduated in 2017. Afterwards, Liangliang worked on a construction site for 3 years. In 2020, this young couple came together to Zhengzhou.
Our life in Zhengzhou starts today.
In 2021, this young couple stepped into the realm of marriage. In October of that year, they bought their own commercial property from Sunac. The total price of this property was 1.4 million yuan. They managed to gather 400,000 yuan for the down payment and took a loan of 1 million yuan.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, honey. I love you. Can I make a wish now?
Go ahead. Make a wish. 3, 2, 1. Blow out the candles.
I can blow out the candles now.
Go ahead.
Everyone knows that when they got married and bought the house, China's domestic COVID-19 situation was still quite serious. So the economic downturn caused by the pandemic quickly affected this young couple. Shortly after they bought the house, Lijun's salary was cut from over 5,000 yuan to just 2,000 yuan in the blink of an eye.
I was really scared. Thinking about our monthly mortgage, I felt like I was dragging you down again. I didn't even dare to come home after work. I just sat there in the office, crying alone, not wanting anyone to hear me. I thought that people might think I'm worthless. But what can I do? I'm dragging you down again. But now it's down to 2,000, right? They are so unreasonable. It's not our fault that they can't sell the houses. We don't get any commission, just a basic salary. I wanted to buy you some meat. But then I thought of my salary, so I just bought you tofu. Just make do with it. For now.
After they made a video of their story and posted it online, it resonated with countless people. Hence, Lijun was also known as the Zhengzhou Tofu Girl. However, No matter how tough life gets, we have to go on living. But what made things worse was that soon they heard rumors that Sunac's housing project might suddenly cease operations. At first, they didn't believe it, and occasionally visited the construction site to check. But soon after they started visiting, construction did indeed stop. They were extremely anxious. What could they do, since they were minor internet celebrities? They could only record videos at the Sunac site, saying things like, "Come on, Sunac, you have to build it," and so on.
We are here to see the house again. They already laid down 12 stories. According to the sales consultant, they can build one floor in about 7 days. That means 4 floors in a month. It will probably be topped off by the end of the year. We'll come here once a month from now on. So, we'll visit 6 more times, and then it will be topped off. But I see a lot of comments on our videos saying topping off in Zhengzhou means it's not getting finished. Because after laying down the last story, the real estate developer already gets most of the funds, and the workload after that is huge. But I only believe what I see. I believe Sunac will deliver on the houses smoothly.
The weather is nice and cool today, and many workers are out, working in full swing.
And Zhengzhou is also actively dealing with these unfinished buildings. We hope that all owners can move into their homes smoothly.
But during this time, they still had to continue paying their mortgage. Imagine the pressure. On one hand, the construction stopped, and on the other, they still had to pay the bank. That uncertainty about the future is undoubtedly incredibly stressful, so they approached the bank to negotiate.
Because the construction progress is slow, we both decided to delay our mortgage payments. A lot of people online ask us about the current house situation because we are stuck at home now. We can't go out and see the construction site, but we learned from online that as of November 3rd, they reached the 15th floor and they are now pouring cement. Isn't that just great? We are really dissatisfied with this rate of progress. If you say it's because of the lockdown, they started work on September 20th, but they didn't really start until mid-October, almost half a month without any work done. We called our mortgage bank this afternoon to inquire about delaying the payment.
The bank explained to them in their situation they could freeze the loan for 6 months, meaning that for the next 6 months they wouldn't need to pay the mortgage or any additional interest. So they temporarily suspended their bank loan for 6 months. But after 6 months, they would have to continue paying. During this time, they had a small conflict with Sunac, because when they were buying the house, Sunac had promised them that 2 weeks after officially purchasing the house, they would refund 1.5% of the total house price. Wasn't their house priced at 1.4 million yuan? 1.5% of the total price is about 21,134 yuan. It's roughly that amount. But when they went to Sunac to claim this money, Sunac refused to pay. Imagine how they felt, completely undermined. Sunac, being such a big developer, should keep its word. But Sunac, for whatever reason, refused to give them this money. So for the past 2 years, they have been trying to get this money from Sunac, but Sunac has been making all sorts of excuses and not paying them.
We owe the bank 70,000 yuan. Sunac owes us 21,176 yuan. Why do we owe the bank 70,000 yuan? Because we didn't pay the mortgage the last 11 months. That includes the mortgage plus interest. 5,000 yuan interest and 1,000 yuan principal per month. Altogether, it's a total of 70,000 yuan. Now they want us to pay it back. After paying it back, we can lower the interest rate. Technically, we could lower it without paying. But no matter what, we need to make sure we have this much money in hand. So, I hope Sunac will give me my 21,876 yuan. The interest I'm paying to the bank is 6.27%. You're using our money, so I won't charge you 6%. I'll charge you 5% interest. 1 year's interest is 1,093. 2 years' interest is 2,187. The principal is 21,876, plus interest is a total of 24,063 yuan. I hope Sunac gives us our money. It's been 2 years, starting from the National Day in 2021 to the National Day of 2023.
Because they are minor internet celebrities, they filmed every visit, they captured how Sunac refused them, and so on. Sunac said this couple was just trying to get more attention online. In the past 2 years, they made quite a bit of money from their online presence, already surpassing the amount Sunac owed them. But Liangliang believed that this shouldn't change anything. He was trying to get that money from them via his own efforts. He believed that when faced with social injustice, one should express their anger clearly. If a person is not able to be angry, then there's really no hope for society.
I do hope more people in the same situation will imitate me, even surpass me. It's good to stand up for your rights and receive some benefit at the same time, but don't wait until I succeed first. By then, it's already too late. In other words, only adults who can get angry can live better lives. If you don't feel any anger at all, then the situation is probably really bad. In fact, there are many times we fall into extreme fear, making us forget what anger is. When we give up our anger, we give up our confidence. We give up showing others our strength and ability.
He even once said in his video, like when a housing project is abandoned, if people don't fight for their rights, they shouldn't have their houses built, because you should only get what's yours if you put in the effort. He is a person who tries hard to keep his promises. So whenever he has time, he goes to Sunac to demand money, because he feels the 20,000 plus yuan is important. Secondly, he believes it's his money and Sunac should simply give it to him.
I'm live streaming now, and people online are applauding our bravery. I want to say, again, it's not that we are brave, it's that we have been forced to this point. We live in Zhengzhou. We have to rent a house. You all know it's getting cold. We have to pay for heating, property fees, gas fees, all sorts of fees. We work in Zhengzhou. We don't have the money to pay. We really don't have the money. Sunac owes us 20,000 yuan, which could solve so many of our problems. At least it would let us live comfortably for a year. Our annual rent is 13,000 yuan. Property fees are about 1,500 yuan a year. Then heating for a season is also more than 1,000 yuan. 20,000 yuan could let us comfortably get through this winter. We used to be afraid to ask for money. I was embarrassed. I'm thin-skinned. Afraid of being humiliated. Afraid of what people would say. Afraid of people saying, we're just trying to get more views. Scared they would say, we're just here for live streaming or promoting products or whatever. But now I've changed my mind. I used to be afraid of Sunac bullying me. What if Sunac's people fight me? What then? I'm just this skinny, barely 40 kilograms. I can't fight them. But now I think, I haven't done anything wrong. Why should I punish myself? Why should I be afraid? Why should I live so tirelessly? Now we will just live for ourselves, live our own lives. If I'm happy, I don't care if others are happy or not. You owe me money, you have to pay me.
Every time he goes to Sunac, he sings, live streams, promotes products, and puts on all kinds of performances. Sunac was certainly not happy about it. But despite his efforts, Sunac didn't pay him. Recently, he heard that Sunac was organizing an event. If he went during this event, he thought it might put more pressure on Sunac, because he could live stream it on Douyin. If something unpleasant happened live, it wouldn't look good for Sunac. So he decided that day he would go to Sunac and get the money back. But when they went that day, not only did they not get the money back, instead, they had a conflict with Sunac's staff. In the end, his wife Lijun's phone was snatched away. He said he was injured.
At Sunac's sales office, don't miss it. Today is a good day. There's been an assault at Zhengzhou Sunac City. They just beat me up. They hit Lijun, and now she's in tears. They beat me down to the ground. Lijun's phone was filming me getting hit. They snatched the phone away, completely lawless.
After getting injured, the couple went to the hospital for treatment. They filmed the whole process and also reported it to the police. Zhengzhou police quickly got involved in the case and said they were handling it. A day later, the couple released a video saying that with the police's intervention, the matter was satisfactorily resolved. I guess Sunac probably paid them the more than 20,000 yuan they owed. Some commented on Weibo asking why Sunac would pay this young couple. Actually, it's quite clever, because they didn't pay them the so-called rebate money from before, but compensated them for the injury instead. That way, if others ask for money, they won't pay. Because this couple was beaten up. After being beaten up, giving them some compensation is reasonable. So, you see Sunac used this method to satisfy the couple's demands while preventing others from becoming copycat cases. So, when it comes to Chinese people analyzing other Chinese people, they really have a thorough insight into their mentality. But this incident brought new trouble for Liangliang. Why? He found that his Douyin account, including his Bilibili account, was blocked.
Someone online joked, saying, we are now at the same level as famous Chinese actresses Angela Baby, Yang Ying. Do you look like Angela Baby? I'm talking about the situation. The crux is, on their main page, it shows that this user has been this and that. The main point is, we don't even get shown. Maybe it's because it's been a long time. Maybe it's because it's been a long time. I don't know what the reason is. I don't dare to delve into it. Don't dare to investigate anything. You shouldn't say that. Okay, don't say anything. Let's not talk about it.
But everyone knows, since they are minor internet celebrities with over 100,000 followers, this account is very important to them because they use it for live streaming, making videos, and they earn a decent income every month. According to them, they made about 160,000 to 170,000 yuan in 2 years. Blocking their account means they lose this part of their income. So, recently, they've been using Lijun's account to post videos and live stream. It's obvious that this incident hit them hard. Although they might have received compensation, I can sense through their videos that they are disheartened, filled with despair about the future. It's in this state of mind that he filmed the scene with his mouth taped shut.
Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up.
What does this mean? It shows he has endless grievances in his heart, but he can't express them. Maybe he's afraid to speak, or he can't speak. Maybe speaking out would be even worse for him. These are probably the real thoughts of this couple right now. The entire sequence of events roughly went like this. Now, let me share my own views. This news was covered by Ma Dugong in a program. He spoke about this couple, framing it as a shattering of the Chinese dream due to unfinished buildings. Many say Ma Dugong is bold in his statements, but in my view, he only told half the story. In fact, I believe this isn't just about the Chinese dream being shattered by unfinished buildings. It's the beginning of a Chinese nightmare for this couple. Why do I say this? Let me break it down for you. First, let's talk about why Sunac's projects became unfinished. It's due to the end of an era in China's last 30 years where real estate prices skyrocketed. The development model of using high financial leverage to constantly open up new projects is probably becoming history. This also means the fairy tale of ever-rising real estate prices in China is being dispelled. To be honest, anyone who bought property in China in the past 30 years made a profit. Take myself, for example. I bought a house in Beijing for 500,000 yuan and sold it for over 7 million, more than a 14-fold increase. How much of that was due to my own efforts? Not much. I just caught the wave of the era's profits. All property values were rising then, but I want to say that time is now over. From now on, China's property values might start to fall. Look at this couple. Their house was priced at 1.4 million yuan. With a 30-year loan at 6% interest, they will end up paying 1.2 million in interest alone. In total, they'll pay 2.6 million for the house. Imagine, in a city like Zhengzhou, if property prices don't rise, what would their house sell for in 30 years? It might only sell for 1 million, because an old house will have depreciated. If they sell it for only 1 million, they'll have paid 2.6 million in total. The loss of 1.6 million in value is a terrifying prospect during an economic downturn. Think about this couple. They worked hard on Douyin and Bilibili for 2 years and only made 160,000 yuan. That means the hard-earned money they could make in 20 years would be completely lost in the declining real estate market. This is a horrifying thought and represents the hard wake-up people experience during economic recessions. This disillusionment is currently approaching today's China, and many people are still unaware of it. Japan's last 30 years have already demonstrated to the Chinese what the despair of an era of depreciating assets is like. When you buy a house, the money you initially invest quickly depreciates. If you don't pay off the loan, the house might become a liability. This is a huge blow to people. Don't think that Chinese people just want to or are willing to buy houses. In the past, the reason why Chinese people were willing to buy was due to the short-term excitement of rising house prices, which formed a so-called long-term expectation. If property prices start to fall, will Chinese people still want to buy houses? Probably not, and then housing prices will enter a vicious cycle. Fewer buyers will lead to lower house prices, and those who bought houses will be trapped, possibly for life. Lijun and Liangliang might become part of the generation of people officially unable to resell their houses. Imagine, for young people with an annual income of just over 100,000 yuan, 2.6 million is decades of their income. But all of it will gradually disappear as asset prices fall. That's the first point. The second point, after this incident, someone in China commented, "Developers can abandon projects, but you can't stop paying." Honestly, this statement is very accurate. In China, developers abandoning projects doesn't matter much. Look at Evergrande, Sunac, and even Country Garden, all abandoning projects. After abandonment, the government still tries to rescue them in any way they can, establishing teams to ensure project completion and injecting capital when they run out of money, making sure they finish the buildings. Of course, the government's goal is to ensure that consumers are not adversely affected by unfinished projects, thinking from a standpoint of social stability. But you'll notice that developers' businesses are also protected by the government. Think about it. If these projects were completely abandoned, wouldn't the developers go bankrupt? But because they are supported, they can survive. This shows the alliance of interests between real estate developers and the government. But what about ordinary consumers? They work hard to buy a house, and if it's abandoned, they still have to handle the bank's queries. The bank won't let you stop your mortgage payments just because the project is unfinished. Like this couple, after the project was abandoned, they could only freeze their payments for 6 months. Imagine how unfair this is. This is the reality of today's Chinese society and part of the Chinese nightmare. From an impartial perspective, if the developer abandons the project, then I don't have to pay the mortgage, because they're not even building the house. Why should I keep paying you? But in China, this is the unfair reality. Developers can abandon projects and act shamelessly, but as consumers, you must continuously hand your money over to them. I'll tell you, when buying a house in Japan, whether you take a loan or not, you don't pay the developer all at once. You pay a down payment, say 10%, then pay more as the project progresses, and only pay the final amount when you move in. So what's the benefit of this type of system? You won't lose all your capital if the developer can't continue, nor will the developer be able to use your money for other projects. The reason why Chinese houses are abandoned is that developers get the full payment from consumers early on, and then don't focus on building, diverting funds to other projects, which eventually leads to a breakdown in the financial chain. But if we don't pay the developer all at once and instead let consumers pay in installments, will there still be abandoned projects? Probably not. So, you see, the system in China itself is designed to trap consumers and protect developers. This is another part of the Chinese nightmares. So, in my view, even though this couple achieved a small victory in defending their rights, getting back more than 20,000 yuan in rebates, possibly as compensation for being beaten, their nightmarish days are far from over. The latest news is that the couple said they are leaving Zhengzhou to return to their hometown of Lingbao.
I still would rather want to live well off in Zhengzhou. These dining chairs, we're just giving them away. See if anyone likes them. It would probably cost about 1,000 yuan to pack them all up and take them home.
But what about this house?
We've already paid the rent, and it's not due until next year. But after all, we breached the contract first, so it'll be empty for now. I'm just hoping we can smoothly return to our hometown. Look, even when he falls, he doesn't cry. He laughs. We're going to take you to go live back home, okay? Daddy and Mommy will take good care of you.
Thank you everyone for your concern. We'll talk more once we get back to our hometown.
I don't know if it's because of their disappointment in Zhengzhou or their concern for their prospects. But anyway, the house is still there, and they still have to pay the mortgage. Even if they leave Zhengzhou, they can't escape the huge shadow that buying that house has cast over their future. But no matter what, I hope their future can be a bit better. I hope they keep working hard on Douyin and strive to become internet celebrities. And once their accounts are restored, they can earn more money to improve their lives a bit. That's all we can do too. However, I want to remind more Chinese viewers to be cautious about buying houses in today's China. The era of continuously rising house prices is probably gone forever. So you must be very careful when buying a house. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you everyone.
$70,000 yuan. Sunac owes us 21,176 yuan. Why do we owe the bank 70,000 yuan? Because we didn't pay the mortgage the last 11 months. That includes the mortgage plus interest. 5,000 yuan interest and 1,000 yuan principal per month. Altogether, it's a at Zhengzhou, Sunac City. They just beat me up. They hit Lijun, and now she's in tears. Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. we met in the college library. After that, we started dating. Soon, our college days were behind us. We graduated in 2015. After that, we both chose to transition from a community college to university.